Okay, hello and welcome to today's webcast, part of a series we are running with Jet Reports with the theme of getting real about business intelligence. I'm Jason Gumpert from MSDynamicsWorld.com, and I'm joined today by Alex Larson, Channel Manager at Jet Reports, and Dale Cox of Barkley Ag. It's great to have both of them with us today. Dale is going to be joining in later. I'm going to first hand things off to Alex, but before I do, I just want to remind folks, we do want your questions and comments today. You can use the Q&A block that you should see to the right of the slides to enter your questions anytime, and Alex and Dale will be leaving time at the end to take some of those. So without further delay, let me hand things off to Alex to get things started.
All right. Thank you, Jason. As Jason mentioned, my name is Alex Larson. I'm a channel manager here at Jet Reports. I'm also joined by Dale Cox from Barkley Ag. I'll be introducing him a little bit more later in today's presentation. But first of all, just to give everybody a little bit of background on our company, Jet Reports is the leading provider of reporting and business intelligence solutions for Microsoft Dynamics. We have over 10,000 clients worldwide and over 100,000 users. We offer 4 solutions really to match any organization's reporting and BI needs. And a couple of things that really just set us apart are our unmatched time to value, or ROI, as well as our world-class service and support across 24 time zones. To go over the agenda very quickly, we'll start out with a conversation with Dale. Then we'll take a look at some business intelligence basics and Jet Enterprise. And then we'll finish things off with the 5-minute NAV dashboard and a demo of our business intelligence solution. So today we're going to focus on how all of these concepts play out in real life. So with us today is Dale Cox from Barkley Ag, and Dale is responsible for the overall planning, organizing, and execution of all of their information systems. He's the director of business systems, and he's going to talk about what prompted them to seek a better solution, their data and reporting situation before they embarked on a BI project, their goals for the BI project, what they were looking for in a reporting and BI solution, why they picked Jet Reports, and what they have accomplished since their implementation. And through this dialogue and the ensuing slides, we're going to answer a few different questions. So how quickly can you expect to implement? How easy is it to make changes once everything's all set? The best way to make your BI solution match your business model, and then hopefully see a live demonstration of BI in action toward the end. So starting things off, Dale, why don't you tell us a little bit about Barkley Ag?
Company that has been primary operations in Yuma, Arizona, and now in Salinas, California. We have 3 primary companies. One is a grain trading company where we contract with growers to grow some specific varieties of wheat that are used in the pasta business. The second company is a farming company that is a grower primarily of wheat and produce, and then some grasses for silage in the Yuma Valley. And then the third company is Greengate Fresh. It's a salad processing company in Salinas. It's in Salinas 7 months of the year, and then in November for the summer, and then in November it moves down to Yuma for the winter season. Greengate's a very high-velocity company in that transactions are very quick. We receive inventory, we run it through a cooler, we move it. These are crates of lettuce or cabbage or that sort of thing. They run through a cooler where they're reduced from the outside temperature down to about 40 degrees. They moved into the processing plant where they're sliced or cut or chopped, triple washed, dried, bagged, boxed, palletized, and put on a truck in in a short period, maybe 3 to 4 hours, that total process. So inventory turns every day, almost 100%. Our farming company, or our grain company, on the other hand, will harvest everything in May and June, and then we'll ship that harvest over the next 24 months. So we have a much, much slower transaction velocity. And then the farming company, of course, it moves at the speed of growing products, you know, so it's not very fast. That's basically what our company does.
All right, great. So tell us how you decided that you needed a new reporting and BI solution.
Well, I think that the experience is similar with probably every NAV user, in that you find you have this tool that gathers a lot of data, but it doesn't really spit very much out. So you know, shortly after the NAV implementation, which was before I came here, it became pretty clear pretty quickly that we needed a tool to get the data out, to be able to see what was happening in the company. It had to be something that was flexible and was easily adaptable, because we have, as you can tell from the description of the companies, they're quite different. We had to be able to get benchmarks out and be able to see what was happening, you know, on the production floor, what was happening in our grain inventory, so we could, you know, you buy it. One year your grain costs 17 cents a pound, and the next year it costs 21 cents a pound, and the next year it costs 14 cents a pound, and you actually sell, you know, the grain based on the margin, and you had to be able to understand what was in your inventory and how much it cost you. And we needed to be able to get that into a lot of people's hands quickly, and Jet seemed to really fit the bill.
Awesome. Yeah, and that's something that we talk to a lot of our clients about, is getting the data out of NAV and being able to report against it, measure your success, and really tell a story with that data. So what were you looking for in a reporting and BI solution? What type of criteria were you looking at?
Well, we have it's funny, you look at our Jet license, and we have like 60 viewers on our license. So we've got a lot of folks who are looking at reports. They're not all creating it, but we've got a lot of people looking at it. And we had to have a solution that would be easy for the users to be able to refresh the data in their reports. And of course, that's a pretty simple feature with Jet. We had to be able to, it had to be easy for people to get it. We wanted it to be run quickly and accurately, and that's the performance concept, and we've been able to achieve that. And we needed to be able to have reports that work all across the company. We have reports that were used by finance, by production, by shipping, by receiving, by inventory, the inventory managers, by our sales folks. So it had to be a tool that wasn't just a financial reporting tool, but it had to be able to report in all aspects of our business. Wherever we had data, we had to be able to get it out and get it in people's hands.
Absolutely. And tell us about the implementation process.
So I'm relatively new to this company. So when I came in, the implementation was, I'll just say it was part way done. The data warehouse and the cubes were not refreshing. It had been set up with a user credentials that had an expiring password, and there were some SQL permission issues. So I sat down with a Jet representative, and we were able to get those things all resolved fairly quickly. So within a short period of time, we were up and running, and our data was refreshing. So really, virtually immediately, we now had the ability to go in and access that data. So So we started building reports, and right now we're in the process of adapting the existing JET Essentials reports that are running in the NAV database. We're migrating those piece by piece over to JET Enterprise, where we're accessing the data warehouse. And as we do that, some of the tables that exist in JET Enterprise are exactly what we need. Others we're adding our custom fields to, or adding a field or two here and there where we need additional data. And it's pretty simple. It's pretty quick, and we're really happy with the way it's going.
That's great to hear, and that's really one of our strong points is that time to value, or the immediate ROI, and being able to implement our standard project for NAV in really 2 to 4 hours, depending on the size of the company. What are some of the ways that you're using JET reports today?
Well, we do a lot with our inventory management in the salad processing company, because those transactions happen so fast. Sometimes it's driven by what our customers want on the sales side. Sometimes it's driven by what's available on the raw material side coming in from the field. So what we're constantly doing is evaluating raw material availability versus customer demand, and we do that with a set of different reports where we look at what our expected receipts are and our actual receipts, what our shipments are during the day, what's been canceled, what's been added. And so with that high velocity of transaction, we're updating those reports, every 15 minutes, and using those to adapt our production output. We do a weekly financial statement, and with that, of course, you have to do an inventory valuation. So that's a one that we do rely on heavily. We do a number of sales reports, including a rolling 10-week sales report. We do reports by customer, by product, and by units sold. We've got a number of reports that we do on our payables and purchasing side. One of the things that just seems silly, but our CFO likes to know what invoices are being paid off sometimes when she's reviewing different things. And it's not easy to just go look at a check and say, wonder what this is paying. So we got a little report that she just keys in a check number, and it pops up a list of invoices from our different vendors. We've got some job reports and other things that we do in the payable side. And of course, we have a full suite of financial things where we're running from financial statements to department expense summaries to just GL posting detail, where we're looking at information beyond just what you get posted in the general ledger, so you can actually understand what you're looking at. I kind of touched a little bit on the production stuff, but we do look at a bunch of lot tracking reporting, because in the food business, of course, lot tracking is very essential, and you have to be able to produce reports, not just in the event of a recall, but you have to be able to do it to pass different audits for some of the different food regulatory agencies. And then we just the other thing is we're trying to get some of the data out to be able to. What it's done is we get information faster, and when you do that, your decision makers can make decisions more timely and have oftentimes a big result when you're talking about a fast-moving business. So that was a lot, but that's kind of what we do.
All right. And one last question here. Do you have any advice for NAV users that are looking for a reporting or BI solution?
Well, I think probably the first thing is know where you're trying to get to, know what the end result you're looking for is before you get going, because it's really tough if you get halfway down the road and you figure out, gee, this product is not going to be able to deliver what I'm trying to get out of it. I find others' experiences to be invaluable. We go to the NAV convention each year because there's just so much to gain from what other people know. So I talk to other people, and a lot of you just have to be careful too that you recognize that each BI solution out there is a little bit different, and make sure that it's geared to what your needs are, because they don't all do the same thing.
All right, that's great advice. So that's all the questions that I had for you. Dale, I want to thank you so much for joining us today. And if you wouldn't mind just staying on the call, and that way if there are any questions about Barkley at the end and we have some time to answer those, then you'll be there to answer those. But again, thank you very much.
You bet. I'll stay on.
All right. So I've inserted a few cartoons into this presentation just to keep things upbeat along the way. This is the first one, and it really makes the point of how easy it is to get your thinking sidetracked when you start to evaluate BI options. So it's a really easy mistake to make, getting dazzled by all of the flashy stuff. But what nobody really wants to talk about is the back end and really what makes BI work. So generally speaking, if you ask 4 or 5 different people what business intelligence is, you're going to get 4 or 5 different answers. So for the purpose of this next discussion, when we talk about BI, what we're really talking about is reporting from a data warehouse and cube environment. So, okay, so let's switch gears. So this is kind of like going back to school on the basics of BI, and this is how it works. So simply put, when we build a BI environment, it is for the purpose of making your data more useful to you. So to do that, we take that massive data that is stored in your ERP and we simplify it. So this means paring down to only the data that you need, cleansing it of all errors, and transforming it down into a structure that can be used for reporting. So this mainly happens in the data warehouse, and then we can very often go a step further and organize it into cubes, which is a different term for a place to store information that is related to one subject matter. So that is everything that's related to sales goes into the sales cube, everything that's related to finance goes into the finance cube, and so on and so forth. So central to this whole concept is the data warehouse. You can see the various features on this slide, but there really is a lot more to say about data warehouse, but the main point is that the data warehouse is the place where you as a company agree that the data that you're going to use, that this is the data that you're going to use for your system of record. So we've all heard the concept of there being one version of the truth, and it really does sound cliche, but that is what a data warehouse is. It's the one place where everybody gets together and says, this is where we're going to build our reports, this is the data that we're going to use, and this is how we define our KPIs. And also, this is how we're going to define our date structures and product hierarchies. Now, the 3 main advantages of a business intelligence solution and a BI environment in general is going to be consolidation and performance, so having that dedicated reporting database with data warehouse and cubes. Secondly is speed. Because it's built for reporting, all of your analysis out of the cube is going to be almost instantaneous. And then third is ease of use. So since the data is already organized on the back end, the typical end user or the person building the reports doesn't need to know how the data relates together within the database. So let's take a look at one more cartoon here. But this cartoon really says it all. Really, there's nothing more powerful for an organization than to put the right data into the right hands at the right time in the way that people need to see it. So here we have a cartoon where the executives have started their annual strategic planning sessions, and this involves sitting in a room with inadequate data until an illusion of knowledge is attained. So what the data warehouse is going to give you, it's going to give you the adequate data and the knowledge that you need to make those day-to-day as well as those future planning business decisions. So that brings us to Jet Enterprise. So what we deliver with Jet Enterprise is a pre-built data warehouse and 7 pre-built cubes specifically for NAV that typically cover about 70 to 75% of what an organization needs right out of the box. Now, the reason I say 70 to 75% and not 100% is because NAV is such a customizable solution. So those customizations that you do have in your NAV database do need to be brought over into the data warehouse and cube environment. Now, the second thing that we deliver, and this is where I believe the real value is in our solution, it's in the back-end tool, the Jet Data Manager. And this is the tool that's used to customize the data warehouse and cubes to fit your organization. And the great thing about it is it's extremely user-friendly, and it makes it very easy to customize the back end. So you don't need to be a BI or a SQL expert to use our tool and make some of those changes and customizations in-house. So at this point, we're going to switch over to the demo portion, and I'm going to show a quick dashboard just to give you an idea of what the capabilities are. And then we'll take a look at actually designing some of the components of a dashboard and really the ease of use of creating a dashboard in Jet Enterprise. So I'm going to switch over to my screen here. And there we go. You should see my screen now. So here we have a sales dashboard that was created in Jet Enterprise. So in the center here in our charts and graphs and visualizations, we have some of the different metrics and KPIs that we're looking at. So we have our sales amount, profit, and profit percentage year over year. We have our sales amount and profit by item category. We have our sales amount by salesperson. And then we have our sales amount by global dimension 1 in my sample database, which is department. Around it, we have some different slicers. If you're not familiar with slicers, basically all they are visual filters. So here we're able to slice on our different global dimensions, country, year, company, salesperson, item category, and product group. So for example, if I just wanted to see the data for my North American company, and only for the years 2016, 2017, and 2018, I can select those slicers, and as you can see, it's updating all of the information in my charts and graphs here. So one thing that I do want to point out is this is looking at a very large amount of data over multiple years. So here on our sales amount, profit, and profit percentage, we're looking at all of that information for the years 2016, 2017, from 2016 to 2018. So what this is doing in looking at the very large amount of data is, since we're working from the data warehouse and cube environment, it's able to analyze it very, very quickly. So if you were to use a traditional reporting tool where it has to query the live database, a report like this, where it is analyzing over multiple years, could take a very significant amount of time to refresh. However, since we're reporting from the data warehouse and more importantly, cube environment, it's able to analyze this almost instantaneously in most cases. So let's take a look at what it actually takes to build some of the components of this dashboard. So I'm going to go ahead and open up a new blank workbook here. Now up here on our Jet ribbon, and if you're not familiar with the Jet ribbon, this is what it looks like. So there's two different modes, design and report mode. Next to it are our design tools, or the tools that we would use to actually build the reports. And then down here in the report tools and settings area, there's some additional settings and report tools that we can use ranging from drilling down on our data to scheduling and automating the scheduling and distribution of our reports. But what we're going to use to build our dashboard today is this pivot table cubes icon here. So if I go ahead and select that, I'm just going to drop down to my NAV cubes. And again, these are the 7 pre-built cubes that we deliver out of the box. So finance, inventory, manufacturing, payables, purchase, receivables, and sales. I'm just going to go ahead and access our sales cube for this example, so I'm just going to double click. It's just going to open up a normal pivot table for me. Now over here on the right-hand side, this is where we're going to select the different measures and dimensions that we'd like to see in this report or dashboard. So the first thing that we're going to select are the different measures. So the measures are simply going to be the numerical values. So things like sales amount, cost amount, profit percentage, quantities, those would all be considered measures. So if I just go ahead and select a few of those, so I'm going to select my sales amount, profit, and profit percentage. And those are going to appear over here on my pivot table. Now, the next thing I'm going to select are the different dimensions. Now, the dimensions in the cube are slightly different than dimensions in NAV. Simply what I mean by the dimensions in the cube are things that we want to be able to slice and dice this information by. So if I wanted to see my sales amount, profit, and profit percentage by customer, I would just go down here to my customer dimension, select that, and just like that, we have all of our customers listed. If I also wanted to see this data year over year, I'd go down here to my posting date dimension, select that, and now we have the data year over year. So very, very easy to do. I can also expand any of these years to see the data by quarter, by month, or even by day. Now we also have some comparisons and aggregations in here, so some date calculations. So if instead of seeing it by year over year, if I wanted to take a look at it as an aggregation, so by period, year to date, last 12 months, total year, running total, we can do that. That's been pre-built into our out-of-the-box cubes or comparisons, so period, previous year, difference over previous year, and difference percentage over previous year. So now let's slim this back down a little bit, and we'll take a look at it by a couple of other dimensions. So I'm going to take out my profit percentage, take out my customers. So now we're back to just our sales amount and profit. So if I wanted to take a look at my sales amount and profit by salesperson, all that I need to do is go down here to my salesperson dimension from the cube, select that. Now we have all of our salespeople listed. Or if we wanted to look at it by item category as well, I would just go to my item category dimension, and now we have all of our item categories listed. We also have a lot of the hierarchies already built in, so I can actually expand any of these item categories all the way down to the individual item level to see the individual sales amounts and profit for each individual item here. So I'm just going to roll that back up. So now to begin giving this to the dashboard look and feel, so with the charts and graphs and visualizations as well as those slicers, we're just going to add those in from the pivot table. So the first thing that I'm going to add is a chart or graph. So I'm just going to go to, I'm going to use a column chart for this one from our Insert tab. Make it a little bit bigger here so it's easier to see. And then we're going to insert some of those slicer filters. Now when I go to insert slicer filter, this is going to give me access to every single dimension within this cube. So if I want to filter on a certain department or a certain company or a certain year, quarter, month, day, it's as easy as checking a couple of boxes. So let's say that I want to filter on a certain item category. We'll just check that box. If I want to filter on a certain, let's go with year for this one. And then let's select salesperson as well. Then I'm just going to click OK here. I'm just going to organize these a little bit nicer at the top. And get rid of my grid lines as well. So now if I just wanted to see the data for, let's say, the year 2016, and only for our item categories, awards and recognition, bags and totes, and caps and hats. And only for our salespeople, Annette Hill, Bart Duncan, and John Roberts. I can select those slicers, and as you can see, it's updating both the data in my pivot table as well as the data in my chart down here at the bottom. So really, to get to the full dashboard that you see here, all that we're doing is we're adding some additional data from the data warehousing cubes into the pivot table, some charts and graphs to help visualize that data, and then finally some slicers so that you're able to filter on it or slice and dice. So to give you a quick example here, for example, on our sales amount profit and profit percentage graph here, if I want to see the details behind it, I can click on the Details tab. And here I can see the pivot table and the actual numbers. And I can break those down to see the numbers by quarter, again by month, or even by day, to see a more granular view of what makes up those numbers within the overall dashboard. Now, one of the things that we do deliver out of the box with Jet Enterprise in all of our solutions is a number of pre-built dashboards with everything ranging from finance to inventory, AR, AP, a little bit of everything across the board that can be used as baselines as a starting point for your organization to create their own dashboards, or even with a lot of these dashboards connected directly to your organization's data warehousing cubes for immediate use. And if you do want to take a look at some of those are available on our website to take a look at. So again, just to summarize real quickly, going back to this one that I created, all that we're doing is we're pulling in data from the pre-built data warehousing cubes, which again is easily customizable. We're adding charts and graphs and visualizations to it, some slicers to be able to filter on that data, and what we're doing is we're turning that into a very nice looking dashboard like the one that we have here. So I'm going to switch back over to my slides now. So this covers everything that I wanted to go over and talk to you about as well as show you today. Are there any questions I can answer at this point?
All right, great. And to Alex's point, please do enter your questions for Alex or for Dale into the Q&A block that we have to the right, and we do have a few questions that have already come in, so we can get started with those. So, Alex, if we were to the question is, if we were to install the software, how long would it take us to start building reports from it?
Yeah, absolutely. So with Jet Enterprise, we can have you up and running, fully installed and implemented with our standard project in 2 to 4 hours. And from that point, you can really start building reports immediately.
All right. How long would it take to customize so that it is exactly what we want it to be?
Yeah, so again, especially in NAV, if you're connecting to just a NAV database, our out-of-the-box project is going to get you about 75% of the way there. Generally speaking, we have most companies completely up and running in 1 to 2 weeks with all of their customizations that they need. Some of the longer projects that I've seen, I think probably the longest one I've seen is probably no more than 4 or 5 weeks, and that's a huge project where you're bringing in data from multiple data sources. But again, generally speaking, we can have you up and running very, very quickly.
All right, here's a question. I'm not sure if it's better suited for you, Alex, or maybe for Dale, but here it is. Do we have to do the work ourselves?
So no, absolutely not. There's a lot of flexibility on that, and I'll let Dale speak to this a little bit too. But I would say half of our clients will elect to have maybe one IT person on staff who's trained on on the Jet Data Manager and how to customize everything, whereas the other 50% of our clients will have us do it. So professional services and support is one of our core competencies here at Jet Reports. It's our largest department. Here in the U.S. alone, we have somewhere between 40 and 50 people dedicated to professional services and support to make sure our clients are successful.
All right. A question for, I think, for Dale here. What tips can you offer on getting reports consolidated into your BI tool? And Dale, it looks like you're on mute. Let me open up your line. You there?
Yeah, yeah, I'm here. And what I didn't see that question on the list, so
Oh,
what
sorry.
was the question again?
What tips? It came into me through the chat, but what tips can you offer to get reports consolidated into your BI tool?
You know, I don't know that I have anything really to suggest. I mean, we're doing reports, and as you saw from what Alex was doing, if you get the right data into your cubes, it's pretty simple to put the summaries on the dashboard. I don't know what you would do in terms of other kinds of reports and try to create a dashboard from this. I probably am not qualified to answer that. Do you have any thoughts,
All
Alex?
right.
I'm sorry?
Do you have any thoughts on that particular question? It's kind of a broad question in terms of, like, the dashboard really gives you, the summary from the data. It gives you some key data points. But I guess that the question is it to say, are you trying to get summary data into the dashboard, or are you trying to take a report and just incorporate? I'm not exactly sure how to answer the question.
If the person could expand on that question a little bit, then we might be able to give a little bit more detailed of an answer.
All right. Well, let's move on then for the moment. A question on training. So does Jet have any training options?
Yep. Yeah. So going back to our professional services and our support teams, we have a number of different training options ranging from in-person classes located regionally around the U.S. To online courses that are taught live with our business intelligence consultants and report analysts. So there's definitely a lot of flexibility there as well in terms of getting your team trained up.
All right. Does Jet have a customer support group or an account management group?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of our other departments is our customer success group, which solely focuses on making sure our clients are successful and using the solutions to their full extent. So their main priority is to make sure that the solutions are being utilized, that our clients are getting the reports that they need, and that they're successful in using the solution to its full capacity.
All right. Does your Excel add-in allow us to query just the cubes?
So the Excel add-in allows you to query everything ranging from the live NAV database to the data warehouse, as well as the cubes. So really you have the ability to hit all three of those using the Excel add-in.
And what if the pre-built cubes are not adequate for my company?
So that's a great question, and that goes back to one of the things that we deliver with the solution. So in addition to the pre-built data warehousing cubes, we also deliver the Jet Data Manager. And the Jet Data Manager is meant for exactly that. It's to add those customizations. So if your organization has custom KPIs or needs to bring in some additional tables from NAV, or even incorporate a whole other data source, whether it's your CRM system or another a homegrown SQL database that maybe you guys have created, the Jet Data Manager makes all of that possible, and it makes it very easy to do so.
All right, I want to make a final call for questions here. We have one more left, and I also just want to remind folks that there is a quick survey that will pop up after the session. Please do watch for that in a few minutes. But let's make a final call here, and the next question is, can I use this product on Office 365?
Yes, you will be able to, is the easiest answer. So that's something that we are currently developing right now, so that you will be able to run and use all of your reports in Office 365 in the cloud.
All right, excellent. Well, we will start wrapping up. We appear to be at the end of the question queue here. So Alex and Dale, thanks for presenting to us today.
Yep, thank you, Jason.
You're very welcome.
And thank you, Dale, as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, great to hear about your experiences, Dale. Thanks everyone for the questions. Really appreciate those. Please do look for the survey. And with that, we will conclude today's event. Have a great day.